Hey everybody, what's going on? So it's the day we've been waiting for, the MLB trade deadline predictions, and I have a very special guest. So you can see Derek Lewandowski from NYY Recaps, one of the best baseball channels out there. He's a fantastic, outstanding content creator, and he's a friend. Derek, what's happening, brother?
Just getting ready for a crazy week, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, like we were just saying, this is the week Derek and I don't really sleep. Right? And our wives are like, what are you guys doing? Why are you always looking at your phone? It's because of stuff like this. This is one of the few days of the year, like the winter meetings, start of free agency, trade deadline day. This to me is like Christmas in July, right? And I'm very happy this time of year. And the buildup that's leading up to it is why we don't sleep. So, but
yeah, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Like, the Christmas song, but I sing it in July, man. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
I'm gonna have to start putting some Hallmark stuff back here and some Santa.
Santa Cashman, bring us some goodies.
Yeah, baby. Cashman Santa, man. Come on, man. But we're gonna get to it, guys and gals. Okay, it's the stuff. And one of the things that I noticed that I picked up recently is one of the reasons why. And I don't know about you, Derek, but I've got a lot of folks that are getting anxious about and asking why is Cashman haven't made moves yet and other things. We know things kind of are a slow buildup towards the deadline, but keep in mind, folks, too, that the international draft, they're still sorting out the details right now. And, and things come into play like compensatory picks. Can they use international draft money towards this and towards that, towards trading? So they're ironing the final details out right now, which is one reason why it hasn't really picked up yet. But it generally picks up about 2 to 3 days before, and it's just going to get nuts. It's going to be absolute pandemonium going wild. So I'm going to feel like I'm in WrestleMania. Oh.
Yeah, I think last year they got Gallo on the 29th, and I think they got Rizzo on the 30th. So it seems like Cashman likes to do his heavy lifting like a couple of days before the deadline so that he can kind of pick off like the GMs who are, trying to unload last minute relief pitchers. I need to dump some salary. I need to get rid of this guy. And he likes to get that last minute bargain deal. So I think there's a good chance that by Friday or Saturday, we're going to know what the Yankees are doing.
I agree. And you made a good point. You were talking with the shift. You made a good point too about, Cashman. We don't know if he has that silver bullet in his gun, if he's willing to use it, right? Is he willing to go shoot the werewolf? We don't know. And we've never had an opportunity like this, at least in his tenure, where somebody of, let's say, a Juan Soto's stature and youth and everything combined is available, a generational player. Is he willing to do what's necessary to get him? Or is he willing to make the several moves that will cost collectively the same amount as a Juan Soto or close to it to kind of put the team in the right footing? It's a good point that you make. And because my fear is by waiting too long, sometimes the prices don't go down on certain players and he loses out on the opportunity to get difference makers while other teams like the Astros and other teams are getting them. What's your take on that?
So somebody made a really great comment on my channel. I wish I could remember the guy's name. I would, or the lady's name, I would drop it. But they said that they're getting the vibe, and I get this vibe too, that Cashman is in on everybody, but that he might end up essentially sitting this out. Because we've seen that happen before where he's essentially linked to everybody, but they apply an internal value of this is how high we'll go for such and such a player. We won't go, a day or a dollar more or a player more than we need to. And he just won't budge on it. And I feel like sometimes that helps you, but sometimes that can really sting too. The Astros pick up Verlander when the Yankees were in on that. Astros go a little bit pricier so it's 2 times they've missed out on Verlander when they've had an opportunity. I feel like he's aware that that fans feel this way about him, that he's kind of good at the sneaky moves, but he doesn't really have the club in his bag to go for the Hall of, get the surefire Hall of Famer. He probably could have traded for Miguel Cabrera when he was with the Marlins. Didn't do it. He had a shot to trade for Randy Johnson his first year as a GM. Didn't do it.
Yeah.
So I personally, I don't think there's any chance that he's going to get a Soto, but Castillo is somebody that is within his range, I think.
Yeah, and I think so. And I don't think Castillo would preclude him from getting other players. Juan Soto might. So that's, I think, the difference in his calculus. So without further ado, let's get into our predictions because folks have been waiting for this, and I want to see. And folks, you're getting my predictions and Derek's predictions. So this is a double whammy here, guys. So let's start with Nelson Cruz.
So Nelson. Yeah, go ahead. I guess I want to hear. I want to hear you got him.
I got him going to St. Louis.
Okay, St. Louis.
I know there's a lot of chatter about Soto, but I don't see Soto going to St. Louis.
Yeah, I don't think St. Louis has the money to re-sign Soto, and they're not going to empty the farm because they're kind of a mid-market team. So they went out and got McGuire, but it didn't really cost them much. Like they've never been the team to go out and unload. They unloaded a lot of prospects to get who was it? Arenado.
Oh yeah.
But it wasn't an overpay, I don't think. Obviously, he's done really well. I mean, I could see him making a bid for him, but I can't see them re-signing him because I just don't think he's going to take less than $550 million. Might even be more than that. But Nelson Cruz to St. Louis, I feel like that could be a good fit. I think he might be a better fit going back to the Twins. He's comfortable there. They know him well. The fans love him. And just being in a pennant race again, I could also see him, if Boston needs another bat, like if they start climbing out of the cellar a little bit over the next, 10 days or so, I could see that because he would play well with that green monster.
Yeah, he would. And even with a slow start, I think a change of scenery, he generally ramps up his production when he gets traded, he ramps it up immediately. So
right. Yeah.
I could see him being an affordable difference maker for a lot of teams.
Right.
So, how about Tony Kemp, one of the Oakland A's potentially 3 or 4 tradable pieces?
So I actually think Tony Kemp is not going to get moved. He's a negative WAR value. He's got a 64 OPS. I know some Yankee fans have talked about him because he plays well against the Yankees, but for me, it's a hard pass. I don't think Tony Kemp's getting moved. I think he's staying put. I
think he goes to Milwaukee as a depth piece. I think they're going to add like minuscule pieces here and there. I don't see them getting a huge, but I think he could be a good fit there.
Yeah.
So in their race to potentially a pennant and see how far they can get into the postseason.
Right.
Well, this intrigues me. Wilson Contreras, catcher.
I got him going to the Mets.
Oh, I got him going to the Astros.
Oh yeah, that would be tough.
That's going to be
Astros
tough.
have a pretty good young catcher though, don't they?
They have Martin Maldonado, but he's batting like 160 or 170, and he's great with the pitchers. But I think that young catcher is not where he needs to be just yet.
Yeah.
So adding a Wilson Contreras, I think could be because I had worried about Luis Castillo, but they've got Lance McCullers coming back any day now. And that's another front line. That's basically a trade deadline addition too, a frontline starter. So if you add Contreras to that fold, I think they're going to be formidable. He
could be good, but the issue with getting a catcher, on a team that has such a good pitching staff is it can upset the rhythm a little bit between the pitcher and the catcher. Corey Lee, I'm looking at their young catcher. He hasn't done much offensively yet. Defensively also not looking great. So yeah, maybe I could see that happening.
Yeah, it's not a long-term commitment. He's a free agent at the end of the year. If they're going to go for the World Series, I think he's a nice piece to kind of help propel them forward.
Right.
How about the Frankfurter, Frankie Montes?
If we're being realistic, I think he's going to the Blue Jays. Those two teams have a history of making deals, and he's probably going to be a little bit less expensive than he was a few months ago, just because he's coming off of the shoulder problem. Mm-hmm. Just got a cortisone shot. I could see him doing well in a pennant race. Like he's got that kind of stuff. And, having Chapman should make him comfortable. They've been teammates. I think he's going to Toronto.
I'm going to Tampa.
Interesting. You think Tampa's going to, I think Tampa's pretty much done. Like I can't see them. I guess they got a better shot than Boston, but they just haven't been impressive to me. Their offense is lousy. Their defense is lousy.
It's true. And to me, they just seem to make pitchers better more so than hitters. And I think he'd be a good fit. He's got a controllable season next year too. So I have a feeling that they're better next year and they go for it. They'll have that frontline guy.
Yeah, he and Shane McClanahan would be a good one too.
Mm-hmm. Now let's get to the big boys here. Ian Happ.
I think Ian Happ goes to the Yankees. That's been one of my predictions all along. The Yankees like switch hitters. I know his strikeout rate is a little higher than Benintendi, but we all know the Benintendi Toronto situation until he gets vaxxed. I think Happ has, he's one of those guys that, to me, it looks like he would play well in the stadium. Like his skills would play up. Like we saw him use the short right field porch. He sprays the ball all over the ballpark. You stick him out there in left field, I think he would do fine. I think Ian Happ's the guy. And, if the Yankees are looking at relievers, they can take some money off for Robertson off of the Cubs payroll. So you get them to package Robertson in. I think that's a deal that's going to happen. And I think that's going to happen in the next couple of days.
That's my prediction to happen, Robertson. And I like his ability to switch hit creates more lineup options for Boone.
Exactly. That's something the Yankees seem to really value is flexibility in their lineup, or else they wouldn't change it every day,
Yeah, exactly. So many different lineups in this every day. So yeah, I have them both going in New York. How about Scott Barlow, super reliever from Kansas City?
So I have Scott Barlow going to the Astros. I think that they're trying to load up. Yeah, I think that they're trying to load up on pitching. They've shown that they can shut down the Yankees. It's clear that the whatever analytics they have on the Yankees seem to be working, right? And Barlow's another dynamic arm. His strikeouts per 9 though is down since 2019, so that's been kind of trending in the opposite direction of what you would like. I think the Astros might be able to unlock even more out of Scott Barlow.
I kind of feel the same way about the Braves. I think he'd be a good fit in Atlanta. You combine him with Kenley Jansen, and they're in the thick of this pennant race, really breathing down the Mets' neck. And I think a couple of pieces like they did last year, but in different positions this year, I think he'd be a really good fit in Atlanta and help them with that pennant race. I see him going to the Braves. How about the other power reliever, David Bednar from the Pirates?
Bednar, I've also got going to the Blue Jays. Yeah. They like those big burly guys, man. He's a hard thrower.
Yeah.
And he'll give the Yankees fits. He'll be great in that division. He's a guy that I think the Yankees would be good to pursue, but I just don't think the Pirates are going to take the Yankees calls anymore after Clay Holmes and the way the Yankees fleeced him on Tyone. I think he's going to the Jays.
I actually have him staying in Pittsburgh. I don't have him being moved. I think they're going to try to keep him and maybe some other guys and build around O'Neal Cruz and Brian Hayes and try to get this thing going. He's controllable until 2027, so I could see them keeping him. Yeah. I would love him to be part of the Yankees. He's like that Paul Bunyan on the mound, but I can't see him coming to the Yankees. But how about the big boy, Jose Abreu? Big bopper.
Jose Abreu, I don't think they're going to move him. He's an RBI machine. He's popular there. I think he's going to stay put.
Nice. I think there's a chance he gets moved to Miami.
I could see Miami being a good fit, but is Miami really ready to win? Like generally a veteran player like that, if they get moved, it's for an opportunity to win somewhere. I think he's got a better shot at winning in Chicago if he just stays put. I
would agree. I just feel at this point, Miami has to realize they're going to need to deal some type of starting pitching surplus to deal with the lack of offense.
Sure.
And I think a swap there. And I don't know, it's not going to be Alcantara. It's not going to be, but it'll be a solid pitcher for Abreu, or maybe a package deal of something like that. It's
funny. You actually had somebody else on your list that you sent me, Miguel Andujar. I think he'd be a nice fit in Miami.
I have him going to Miami too. Andujar.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's funny that we both saw it that way because he would get an opportunity to play. His bat would play up. The ball travels pretty well there. And, he just seems like a Miami kind of guy. He's got that nice Latin flavor. He's fun to watch. All the energy that he brings. I think he would be a freaking hit.
You put sunglasses. He reminds me of Tubbs from Miami Vice.
Oh, yeah.
Straight up, right? And that's why I like the combination of Abreu and Andujar. It would be a better boost to the Miami offense as opposed to one of them. So that's kind of the angle I was looking at too. So I'm glad we're on the same page with that one. How about Luis Castillo?
I think Castillo goes to the Yankees.
So do I.
I think that, and he's supposed to pitch tomorrow night, I believe. I'm going to go out.
They have 3 scouts going to watch him.
Wednesday. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it happens before the weekend. I think he'll get dealt Thursday or Friday.
It would be fantastic. How about who else do we have here? Madison Bumgarner. There's a lot of chatter about him.
So I think Madison Bumgarner is going to stay put. I mean, his team won 107 games last year. I don't know what their record is this year. Let me take a look real quick, but they can't be that far back. They are The 16 games back, they're over 500. So, I mean, they've got a shot at a wild card, and he's a guy with such a great postseason resume that you would hate to move him and then end up in the playoffs and not have him. So I don't think Bumgarner's moving.
Yeah, I would agree. If he does get moved, I could see him go to Seattle.
And he's not a free agent for 2 years. I mean, maybe you move him next year, but not this year.
Yeah, I could see that. I could agree. Merrill Kelly, the other starting pitcher from the Arizona Diamondbacks that folks are talking about. He's got 3 controllable years. So
yeah, I could see him going either to the Mets or to the Red Sox. He's obviously a couple of rivals. He's got a very good OPS against home runs are down 0.6 per game. Strikeout numbers aren't super impressive, but he keeps the ball on the ground. So, obviously that plays up in Boston, and the Mets are always on the radar for like anybody they can go out and get. So he's having a career year. But I think that might be a good time for them to sell on him.
I can see him going to the Angels. They are in dire need of adding pitching. A lot of pieces. Because I don't think they're going to trade Trout and Ohtani or both at the very least until after next year. I don't even think they're going to entertain it.
It's blowing my mind that people think Ohtani is going to be traded. Now, he did express a desire to win more, and he doesn't sound like he's super happy there. He wants to win. And I think it would be great for Major League Baseball if Ohtani was in the playoffs. But hey, you reap what you sow, baby. You had a shot to sign anywhere you wanted. You could have looked at the records and said, well, the Angels haven't been to the playoffs in a long time. They don't have a history of having, good depth. But they make so much money off of him. Like, how many Ohtani jerseys are there being sold? And think about Japan, like how much money they make from the foreign markets, tuning in, the TV rights and things like that. No chance Ohtani gets moved before. I would say the trade deadline before he becomes a free agent, which isn't next year. I think. Oh wait, it is next year. It's next August, right? So, yeah. So then at that point, I think he'll be moved.
And he's young. What's he, about 27?
I think he's 26 or 27. Yeah.
So he's a perfect target to be moved for a haul. He'll be next year's Soto, most likely.
Essentially.
Deadline. So, one of their teammates, I know he's been recently extended, but I still see him as potentially being movable, especially if the Arizona Diamondbacks move other pitchers. Ketel Marte.
Yeah. So when I was taking notes on this, I just kind of looked at the contract. He doesn't really play any defense, and he's got a good bat. So maybe to a team that needed a DH, again, I think about possibly Boston, like going after him, just, but they would have to reconfigure things because JD Martinez DH is a lot up there. Yeah. I could see him possibly going out west to the Padres essentially. But again, you don't want to deal him in the division. I think he ends up staying put.
For some reason, I have him going to Minnesota.
Interesting.
Adding him to the Correas and all these different guys, I think he'd be an additional piece there. And in case a guy Correa walks or opts out, you have somebody like this who's got controllable years and who can DH and play at some other positions. He's not a defensive whiz either, but I think he contribute. And in Minnesota kind of on the rise and trying to take that division, a piece like him would probably fit well. So
what's interesting about Marte is that he used to be a guy who played all over the field, and now he doesn't really play defense at all. I think they're worried about his health too. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of a red flag for me.
I agree. Any lower body injured baseball player, that worries. That worries me. How about David Peralta, other outfielder?
I don't really know where he would go. His OPS is down. It's fallen in 5 straight years. I know a lot of Yankees fans want him, but I don't see him being a good fit. I don't think he gets moved. I think he's trending in the wrong direction, and they're going to have a tough time, getting a prospect on the rise for somebody who's clearly in decline.
I would agree. If he gets moved, I have him being moved to Chicago White Sox. I could just see him being that piece there. They can always use pieces. They always have injuries, so I think he'd be a reliable piece for the White Sox. Now pivoting over to going back to the infield, how about Josh Bell? For me, I know there's been a lot of talk with him with the Mets, but they just brought in Daniel Vogelbach.
Yeah.
Essentially, he's going to be taking over like first base DH duties with Pete Alonso. So I have him going to Houston.
So Josh Bell is what's he hitting this year? He is hitting 305 with 13 home runs and 51 RBIs. I wish the Yanks had traded for him a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
when I wanted him. I could see him. I mean, I could see him in a number of places. Maybe Milwaukee. They have Rowdy Tellez, but he's only hitting 230, 760 OPS. I don't know how he is on defense. Let me take a look at his defense. Looks like he's a negative D-WAR guy. Yeah. Bell has never been a huge, defensive player either, but, I could see him ending up in Milwaukee, switch hitting bat, get you a little bit more contact. Mm-hmm. And then if you even need to DH Rowdy, you can do that. So I think he's going to Milwaukee.
That's a good fit too. That's an entry. And then now they're down Vogelback anyway. Somebody to replace him would be ideal. Yeah. He's probably the best fit possible. How about this one intrigues me. Kevin Kiermaier. There's been so much talk about this strong defensive solid player from the Tampa Bay Rays being moved because they don't want to resign him. I think he's the highest paid player on the team, with the exception of Juan DeFranco. I actually have him going to the Mets.
So he can't hit. He's past his prime. His defense has fallen off. I think he's going to end up in Seattle. They got a spacious outfield. And I think they'll take a flyer that being at least somewhat in a wild card race. And right now they're right smack in the middle of the wild card race. It might inject a little bit of, life into his defense again. But look, I don't see him being much of an impact anymore. I think he's past his prime.
I would agree. And that's part of me wanting him to go to the Mets because I want them to make a move that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's that. But how about Tyler Mahle, starting pitcher from the Reds? They want to move.
So this is another one that might surprise Yankees fans. I think he's got a shot to go to the Yanks. He strikes me as a perfect guy that can pitch. He can. If you get Castillo, it's easy to package him in there. He had 210 strikeouts last year. He's just 27 years old. I think you might be able to slot him in. Considering some of the guys that are wearing down, I don't know how much faith the Yankees are going to have in Taillon if he keeps struggling like this. Severino, I honestly feel like Severino might end up in the bullpen when he comes back, right? I mean, he was so good out of the bullpen last year. He's already thrown 85 innings this year. You don't want to blow this guy out.
Yeah.
And he gives you that weapon now that you're missing some pieces, now that you're missing Mike King.
Yeah.
You bring Sevy back and say, hey, you're our seventh inning guy. I think it's great, and I think you need another starter. Right now, Domingo Germán has replaced Severino in the rotation. I have no confidence in him. I can see the Yankees getting two starters in kind of a combination deal. So I think Tyler Mahle, is it Mahle? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, we'll go with that. I'm not sure.
Yeah. It's just spelled weird. And Castillo, I think, packaged together. And they might even take on somebody else who makes a little bit of money. I don't know how much Brandon Drury is making right now. Let's see if we can pull up his
couple million a year.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to dump a couple $1 million, it says 700,000. So probably not. But 126 OPS, I'd sure as hell like to have him over Donaldson.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even if you get him, he makes such a low amount that it doesn't even matter if you just DFA Donaldson, you're getting the same level of production for essentially the same price.
Yeah,
so I could see a massive trade with Castillo, Mahle, and Brandon Drury coming back to the Yanks.
That's an intriguing trade. I like the Mahle addition too because I think Jameson Taillon is playing himself out of an extension.
Yep.
Right. He's going the opposite direction. He gets the occasional good game here, but I think he's kind of peaked here or whatever it is.
I could see Taillon getting moved. I could see somebody, who needs an arm. If the Yankees have another deal in place, the Yankees could say, "Hey, we got Taillon. We'll pay his salary. Just give us a decent prospect because we're unloading some prospects, in other places. Essentially, give somebody a free arm for 2 months."
I didn't even think about that. That's an intriguing possibility too. Yeah, because I don't really have much confidence in re-signing him in free agency. I'd rather go for somebody like Joe Musgrove. Somebody like that in free agency.
Right.
We'll see. Mahle would fill that need. Him and Castillo, two starters. I like that. Now, other pitcher, Jose Quintana, the Pirates, who all of a sudden he's the flavor of the month for so many people, right? So
I think he's going to Seattle. I think he would like they need another pitcher. Now look, he's not the same pitcher as he was several years ago, but I think his style plays well in Seattle. He's 33 years old, so he's not over the hill, but he doesn't have much time before he's a free agent. They don't want to invest in any kind of long-term contracts or anything like that. So I think Seattle's a good fit.
I got him going to Detroit, adding to that little stable of young pitchers and whatnot. And I actually never gave you my Molly prediction. I haven't gone to the Royals.
Royals. Interesting.
Interesting destination for him.
They're 38 and 57. I'm not sure they're going to want to add at 38 and 57. Well, maybe.
If they trade Benintendi and trade some other guys and get some building block pieces, it's possible because their asking price is pretty high for Benintendi. But I just don't know. But a controllable pitcher there for a few years. The Central to me is wide open.
Scott Barlow, man, he's got some filthy stuff.
He's nasty. He is nasty. Oh God.
All right.
How about Ramon Laureano, Mr. Outfield muscle boy outfielder for the Oakland A's?
I could also see him being a fit for Boston, just because the right-handed bat plays in Boston, doesn't really hit right-handed pitching very well, but he's somebody you can play against lefties. And if you put him in left field, I mean, he's fallen off a little bit defensively, but he's still really good. If you put him in left field at Boston, where it's not a lot of ground to cover, I think he would do a great job there.
I have him going to the AL East too, but to Tampa.
Yeah.
So
he could be a fit there.
Either one of those destinations, I think he'd be a good fit. And but I think he gets moved. I do think he gets moved.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
I think this is the year Oakland kind of unloads the rest of their guys.
Yeah.
How about Michael Fulmer, who's all of a sudden started turning into a fantastic reliever in Detroit?
Yeah, if he doesn't stay put, I think he might stay put because he's popular there, and but this is a good time to trade him. Like if they want to get something for him, I've got him going to the Rays because I feel like they could unlock whatever he's got in there. He's a ground ball guy, and that's a ballpark where you get those ground balls, and that turf keeps it true. Might make it a little bit easier on their defense, which is struggling right now. I think Fulmer would be a good fit in Tampa. I have
him being added to that Houston Astros bullpen, which would again little pieces for Houston Astros. I think
they're gonna pick up some pitching for sure.
Yeah, and they're gonna pick up somebody that we're not expecting them to pick up. They always do. I didn't expect them to get Verlander, but they did.
Yeah.
So how about Andrew Chafin, the lefty reliever, dependable from the Detroit Tigers?
New York Yankees.
Oh, nice.
I'm a big fan of him. More than a strikeout per inning. His whip is 1.079. Yankees have some space now in the bullpen where they need to add. And plus he looks like Thurman Munson and he's from Ohio. How do you not pick him up?
Yeah, you have to add to the stash brigade. I mean, you just have to. He's got
him.
You stand him next to Matt Carpenter, man. That's a sequel of Magnum PI all day.
Yeah.
How do you not do that? I haven't gone to the Yankees too. So
nice.
It's good fit. I think a good solid lefty reliever would come in handy right now for the Yankees. I don't think Britton's going to pan out. He takes too long. Sometimes they rush him. I don't see him being on the postseason roster. I don't see Chapman being on the postseason roster. So somebody like Chafin, you add him to some of these other guys, I think it'd be a better fit.
Do you think somebody's going to trade for Chapman? That might be a way for the Yankees to move some salary.
So you bring up a good point because you mentioned earlier about eating salary too. Just the way I feel about Chapman and Gallo, one way or another, whether the Yankees are eating their salary, no matter what, they're paying their salary. So it makes sense. If you can't trade them, you try, but if you can't trade them, you DFA them, you get rid of them because they're eating the salary and you let somebody else who can come in and be a more productive person on this roster. You might as well get better bang for your buck paying the same money. That's the way I see it. So I think they're going to try to trade him. I just don't see anybody trading for him.
Chapman could be a draw. I want to pitch this at you. What if he goes back to the Reds
as part of the trade?
As part of the deal, he's not going to be in the playoffs, but I mean, I don't think he minds that. Honestly, he doesn't pitch well in the playoffs. He's already got a ring. And you could, as you said, take on some of the money. They may be able to sell some jerseys, put some fans in the stands that stay for the whole game, so that they can watch Chapman pitch in the ninth. A little nostalgia.
Yeah.
That could be one of those just kind of weird moves.
That's a very intriguing possibility. I could see that happening. I can see Chapman saying, "Hey, you would take Molly, but you got to take Chapman." Or
doesn't that feel like a Brian Cashman move to you? It feels like.
Dude, I said this. He's a little guy, but he throws his Rocky Balboa shots every now and then.
Yeah,
he comes out of nowhere. And it's like, I can't believe I just got my ass kicked by Brian Cashman.
Right.
He does sound like a Cashman move. It really does. How about Gregory Soto, the Detroit Tigers closer? He is nasty.
He is nasty. And if the Yankees get him, I'm gonna make a video just called "Yankees Get Soto," so that way I can get the million views and then just be like, "Just kidding, it's not the one you wanted, but he's still good." Yeah, I think Houston is gonna go after him hard. I could also see Toronto going after him, trying to, he's one of those guys you want in your bullpen for the playoffs. Only issue is the walks, 15 walks in 31 2/3 innings. That's a little bit too much. I think that keeps the Yankees out of it because they like guys who throw strikes. He was an all-star, 2.56 ERA. He's going to be filthy in a playoff race. I think it's Houston. I think it's Toronto. It's one of those.
I have him staying or going to Toronto, which I mean, if they're going to Toronto, it suck. But
Mets could be in on him too.
They could.
Yeah.
I think the Mets are going to make some kind of sneaky move too. I don't know what kind of move, but I have a feeling they're going to get somebody who's going to be a difference maker.
That Steve Cohen has a quick trigger finger too. Like,
Yes,
we saw the moves in quick succession. It wouldn't surprise me if they're the most active team at the deadline, even though they're in first place. And Buck Showalter's probably saying, "Hey, look, we got a good thing here. We can probably go all the way. Don't make too many moves." But it wouldn't shock me if they bring in 4 or 5 players.
I'm not saying here. It wouldn't shock me at all. Cohen's just, I'm going to give you tons of shit. You will figure it out.
Yeah.
Yep, I could see it. Now, how about Sean Murphy, catcher from the Oakland A's? I think he gets moved this year.
He probably could. You know what? I'm stumped on that one. I don't know where he would. There's so many teams that need catching. I could see him going to the Mets. I could see him going to a team that's like on the rebuild. I could see him going to the Marlins. I could see him going to the Rangers. I could see him going to Seattle. I don't think they'll trade him in the division. I could even see him going to Colorado. I think his hitting ability would play well in Colorado. But with the A's, you never know. They're just trying to unload some of these guys. So I think they're just going to take the best offer wherever they can get it. And catching is just such a valuable commodity. I can see him going any number of places, even to people who aren't contending this year.
Let me throw this one at you. How about Cleveland?
That's interesting. Yeah, I could see Cleveland. Yeah, again, anywhere for a catcher. Like, every team wants a catcher. They're so expensive to trade for, though, that, I definitely don't see New York being an opportunity, unless it's with the Mets. I don't see him going to Boston. I think it might be a National League team.
It could be. The only reason I say Cleveland is, well, number one, I think he's got to get moved because they acquired Shea Langoliers in that Atlanta trade with Olsen. They also have Tyler Stevenson, who's like beating down the door of
right.
Murphy. So the depth now is to the point where they have to. One of these guys are going to force their way on the team. And I think bring him to a team like Cleveland, you add him to Jose Ramirez, kind of a quietly formidable team. Kind of remind me of the Rays. They're just so quiet and relatively boring. And all of a sudden, like, damn, they're in the playoffs again. Come on. That's what I see going there.
What about Atlanta? They've got a couple of catchers, but having one more. They've got d'Arnaud, and they've got William Contreras. I'm looking. I guess William Contreras is probably the next in line. I don't know how you really feel about d'Arnaud. 308 on base percentage. Yeah, I guess they probably don't need him. I'm just looking at teams that are contenders that could use another right-handed bat. How about the Padres? They've got Austin Nola. Maybe the Padres could be a decent fit for him.
What about who else? They have Luis Campusano too, right? It's like a super duper high rated prospect.
Let's see. They have the Padres. They have Austin Nola and Jorge Alfaro.
Okay.
As the only catchers listed on Baseball Reference. I'm not really that familiar with their system.
Yeah, he was their number 1 or number 2 prospect, so maybe he just hasn't made that step yet. What about Joey Gallo?
Joey Gallo, I think, is going back to Texas. The fans like him there. He was comfortable there. He played well there. And to me, if that's Texas, like if you're Texas, you're seeing that as a win. You got some good prospects and you can get them back for practically nothing. So
Yeah.
that's just a win-win for their GM.
I say Texas or Padres. If he goes to another team that's not Texas, Padres. Yeah, they were willing to get him last year. They were beat by the Yankees, and he still have some level of interest. So
yeah.
The others, there's another starter from Oakland A's, Paul Blackburn, who's an all-star this year, and he's kind of an underrated version of Frankie Montas that nobody's really talking about. That's the next guy. What do you think?
Yeah, I had to look him up. I wasn't very familiar with him. I could see him going to Milwaukee. You can never get enough pitching. He's just he would fit in well there. They've got some injuries. Hauser's on the IL. They got a couple of guys with high 4 ERAs. Freddie Peralta's on the IL. They still have, pretty solid bullpen. So you just need one more starter probably. They've got Corbin Burns and Eric Lauer both pitching well.
Yeah.
Brandon Woodruff has done a nice job. So I think he could fit in well in Milwaukee.
How about Cleveland?
Cleveland would work too. Yeah.
Him and Sean Murphy as part of a package straight to Cleveland.
That could work. Let's see. So Cleveland, let me take a look at their staff. They've got 2 guys on the IL as well right now. Yeah, I could definitely see that being a nice fit. Man, I wish Shane Bieber was available. I know his numbers have come back down to earth a little bit, but I still think there's a lot in there.
Yeah, I would agree. You put him behind Bieber and please that. It gives him a nice.
Yeah.
I think they still need to unlock some of those. They still need to unlock Bieber a little bit and some of these other guys, but I think it'd be a good fit there. Just quietly building that rotation back up. Brian Reynolds.
I don't think Brian Reynolds gets moved.
Same.
He's popular there. He's playing well. I think they're going to hold on to him for as long as possible. He'll be another one of those guys dealt at the deadline before he's a free agent, and he's still under control for a while. So I don't see him getting moved.
Same. Now, we talked about him earlier as a potential addition piece to a Yankees trade, but Brandon Drury, do you have him going anywhere other than the Yankees?
I think the Yankees are the most likely fit, but I could see him getting moved to a number of places. There's a lot of teams that could use a bat. His ability to not only play third base, but he can play second base. He can run a little bit. The Yankees are my prediction, but I could see him going, maybe out west. I could see him going to Seattle. I could see him. Obviously, Boston doesn't need him, but that swing would play really well there. If they got Bobby Dahlbeck at first base, he's hitting 206 with 8 home runs. If you could teach Brandon Drury how to play first base, and if you can play third base, you can typically play first base.
Yeah.
So I think he'd be a good fit in Boston as well.
So do I. Boston's my pick, especially if they either trade or let Bogarts walk.
Yeah.
Have a somewhat credible replacement for him.
But Devers, he's on the IL right now, but he's your third baseman. So
Devers.
Drury doesn't have a spot there. Man, Devers, he's just so good. I want to see him in pinstripes.
Be a free agent next year, just at the end of next year, just like Donaldson. Imagine if he
back up the truck.
Oh yeah.
Back up the truck. He's going to be 26. Oh, back up the truck.
I'm telling you. You start loading that freaking thing up now. Trey Mancini.
I like him, but I don't think he's going to get moved. He's popular in Baltimore. They're playing better. They're over 500. I think it sends a bad message to move him. I think they're going to hang on to him.
I think if he does get moved, I agree. I think they're going to hold on because Baltimore's playing better. But if he gets moved, it'll probably be to a place like the Giants.
I can see the Giants. Yep.
Just be a good fit, good character player, and put him in a championship situation potentially. So
right.
How about Garrett Cooper? There's not a lot of folks talking about him, but he's a guy
good
with
hitter
power from the Marlins.
So, we just talked about Drury to Boston. A lot of these kind of overlap. And so obviously not everybody's going to go in every scenario, but if he goes somewhere, I think Boston's a really good fit for him. Again, right-handed hitter in Boston. You can never have enough of those, kind of like lefties at Yankee Stadium. And I've always liked him. He's a good contact guy, bat to ball guy. He hustles. I think he'd be a good fit there.
He would be. I have him going to the White Sox. Just in the event that they move Jose Abreu, you plug Cooper in first base. You give him that power bat in case it happens, or you get some depth one way or another. Daniel Bard, we've talked about him recently.
So he's my number one choice on the trade market for the Yankees. Like I've talked about him a number of times. He's the guy I want above any other relief pitcher. I think the Yankees know that. I mean, they don't know that I want him, but I think that they know that he's the best option available. And I think he's going to New York.
And I don't think he'll cost as much
No.
as, a Bednar or Barlow. He won't. And again, you get this big power arm you can plug in there.
But I could also see him going back to Boston, and I could see him going to Houston. Like, everybody's going to be in on him because at the StatCast metrics, he's still throws 100. He's nasty.
Yeah, I haven't gone to the Mets.
Yeah, I mean, Mets, any contender, pick a contender, whoever's willing to offer the most.
Yeah, it's true.
That's why I think his cost might be more than you think. He'll cost a decent prospect. Yeah. I could see him costing a top 10 prospect.
A top 10, I could say. Top 10, I could say. All right, now down to the last couple guys here. Andrew Benintendi.
So Benintendi, I think he goes to the Mets first of all. I know a lot of Yankees fans want him, but if you're going to play Toronto in the playoffs, you can't play a man short. I mean, I hate to say it, like, I think they could beat him without Benintendi because they've handled them well all year, but you just don't want to play a man short. So I think he goes to the Mets.
Yeah, I actually have him going to Padres.
Okay.
Being there, kind of their big acquisition.
Nice fit.
Yeah, I think it's a great fit there. With Gallo, I think he's going to go back to Texas or Padres, but I have him going. I think leaning towards Texas. Benintendi would be a perfect fit in the Padres lineup.
I wonder if they would play him in center field because they got Grissom out there who doesn't hit at all.
Yeah, Grissom's good defensively, but he's batting like 200, right. 195 or something.
He's hitting 190 with a 290 on base percentage.
Yeah, Benintendi would be a massive upgrade there. And if they want to continue this playoff race going up against the Dodgers, somebody like that I think would make a difference. And they don't have to worry about playing Toronto, and all that stuff unless they face him in the World Series. But the likeliness of Toronto getting past some of the American League teams this year is probably pretty low.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And now Martin Perez, pitcher.
I like him. He's a soft contact guy, kind of like Sabathia at the end of his career, but he's just 31 years old. So he's got several years ahead of him. He keeps the ball off of the barrel. He's got a good whip, good ERA. He throws strikes. He's kind of like a left-handed Chris Bassett. And I think the Mets would be a good fit for Martin Perez.
Yeah, it would be a good fit. I am going to the Giants, adding to that stable. I think it would be a good fit. I could see the Giants making a move like this. It's kind of a Giants move, in my opinion. Adding him and a couple other guys to kind of propel themselves back in, because they're not out of the race yet, but they still can secure a wild card.
Yeah.
But I think a guy like this would be a little bit of a difference maker for them. So, and lastly, the number one guy, Juan Soto from the Nationals. Where do you have him going?
Well, we talked about it on my show. I think he's going to the Dodgers. They've got the most prospect capital. They've shown that they're willing to kind of go for it for the big guy. I mean, Scherzer and Turner last year, and they can afford to re-sign him, and you pair him with, well, really, it's like a tandem. That's another duo. It's like a quartet of, Betts and Freeman and Soto. And who's the other guy at the top of their line?
Bellinger, they got Lux.
Yeah, Lux. I mean, geez. So you add him to that lineup. What would be interesting is if they decide to move Bellinger, if they get Soto. And I think that they might be willing to unload Bellinger at a much discounted rate. But this guy who hit 47 home runs a couple of years ago, he's just 26 years old. That's got Brian Cashman written all over it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
It's a very Cashman move to buy low on somebody and try and let Dylan Lawson do his magic.
Unlock him. Could you imagine that? Him turning into a total superstar here?
I can imagine it. And if they decide to go out and get Juan Soto, I would trade for Bellinger. Even if he doesn't help you this year, he's one of those guys that you can figure it out. Figure out why he's not hitting.
Yeah.
Get him on the right track. And shooting at that short right field porch is a good elixir for a lot of left-handed hitters, man.
Oh, baby, that'd be fantastic. Just having him knock him out. And he's going to cost pennies to the dollar to what Juan Soto would cost. And,
you put him in a lineup where he's kind of a fresh face. You have to pitch him differently, that left-handed bat. I just think it would play up. I think he would improve a lot. His dad was Clay Bellinger. He played with the Yankees, won a World Series with the Yankees. He could kind of give him tips on playing in New York.
Yeah.
He's going to have a nice reception by the fans just because of, his legacy. I know a lot of fans don't like him because he kind of looks like he stays in that 420 zone, but I think he would be a good fit if they decide to unload him.
Yeah, and it would not make it any more difficult to bring in a Castillo, to bring in anybody else. You're not going to have to give up a Volpe or a Peraza or a Dominguez or anything like that. So it would cost probably a top 10 or something, or a package of prospects, but none of those top guys. So if there's any way you can get him and Castillo and some other guys and preserve a couple of guys like Volpe, that's an ideal scenario.
I agree.
And let's put the icing on the cake here. If you could pick one just shocking trade that would send ripples to the baseball world, what do you think it would be?
Again, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But imagine Shohei Ohtani getting traded to the Astros.
Oh, God.
Or to the Dodgers. I don't think they'll trade him to the Dodgers because it's kind of their rival. They don't have a good relationship. And it might be tough to trade him in the division, but that would put the Astros over the top. One more bat and one more pitcher.
Do you think they'd have to give up Tucker or Alvarez to get it?
I think they'd probably have to give up Tucker. But I think I'd make that deal, Tucker for Ohtani. I mean, Tucker's a good player, but Ohtani's like next level. He gives you what Tucker gives you on offense and also has a 2.3 ERA. So I don't think it's going to happen, but that's just kind of my out of left field deal.
Ah, man, mine is a similar. It's a Castillo and a Molly over to the Blue Jays.
Okay.
Which would kind of throw the American League East completely out of whack, I think.
They could use the pitching. Their
Kikuchi's not playing well. Ryu's done. I don't think he'll be back until 2024. You add two starters there, it changes the landscape of the American League East, I think. And it makes it much more difficult for teams to beat Toronto.
If I'm the Yankees, I'm focused on rebuilding the pitching staff because you've got some guys hurt. And if you can't do that, then you have to count on Luis Severino coming back to the bullpen. Just shoring up that bullpen. One more starter, one more bat. I don't think Soto is going to happen, but this is going to be a fun week regardless.
It's going to be fantastic, man. It's going to be fantastic. So are you going to be going live at all on trade deadline day? I'm going to go live.
I'm going to be live on and off all day. Yeah. I was probably going to do like a lunchtime, but it also depends on kind of if the Yankees do most of their heavy lifting before then, let's say they get a Castillo and a Molly and a Soto, whoever, in the days leading up to it, then there's probably not going to be a lot more moves left to make, so I might just do like a last hour or something of the deadline or something like that. And the first hour after the deadline is usually fun too, because there's some deals that break right as the deadline hits. That's the plan for me too. I was going to do it several hours, but if the Yankees make their moves, I'm going to shorten it because it's going to be less than an appetite because there's a lot of the Yankees. What's tough for me is, a lot of my program is it's visual. Like I do a lot of highlights and stuff like that. So, I can't just hop on and talk. I've got to like stay awake and stay caffeinated. And when that happens, I got to have the highlights ready. So this week, I'm trying to build up Yankees highlights reels for all of these potential players, just in case, just so that they could, get my thumbnails ready and all that good stuff. So it's all about the preparation. Yes, indeed. It's going to be a crazy week one way or another, man. But I got to thank you so much for coming on here, bro. It's always a pleasure. And I'm sure we'll be doing it more often, man. But thanks so much for spending some time with me this morning and have a great week, man. And we'll be talking. All right. Talk to you soon, bro. Appreciate it. Take care. Yeah, man.